choose instead to look at it in a more optimistic way than killjoy parents who long to suppress their kids' healthy interests. I like it because its root is persevere, to keep going against all odds. I like the idea that I'm just so determined to persevere talking about theme park rides, or the last book I read, or the likelihood of alien life, even long after the life has drained from the other person's eyes. I'm not boring or bad at spotting social cues. I'm determined. Obsessive was, still is, my natural state, and I never wondered why. I didn't mind. Didn't know that other people could feel at peace. I always felt like a raw nerve, but then I thought that everyone did. When I was just a few years old, that tendency pushed me to develop obsessive-compulsive disorder, but there weren't the words for that yet either. A lot of autistic people have OCD, and it makes sense to me that we'd latch onto something that thrives in an anxious, overactive mind that craves control. As a child, I didn't have any power to actually control the things that scared me, so I invented it. I used something that mental health experts call magical thinking, the belief that unrelated events are causally connected, and our thoughts can alter or influence their course. People with OCD often believe that arbitrary actions or thoughts can impact the things that we are afraid of. I've learned that very few people have any clue what OCD is, but I sympathise, because the most agonising things about it happen inside the brain. From the outside, where the intrusive thoughts aren't apparent, it might look like ritual cleanliness, fussiness, or weird tics. I understand why popular representations are so lacking. It is difficult to comprehend how debilitating it is if you've never had it. So imagine this, the worst thing your mind can come up with. The most violent image, your deepest fear, something uncomfortably sexual, an annoyance you've been working to avoid. If you had to try at all to muster something up, we are very different. Now imagine that image or thought repeated. It echoes around your brain, constantly, without respite. Maybe you can forget it, for a while. Maybe you're on a picnic, or holding your niece, or driving along the coast. It comes from nowhere, interrupting a perfectly nice day, bludgeoning you with the dregs of your own psyche. You'd start to worry, wouldn't you? That there was something deeply, terribly wrong somewhere at your core? That you not only didn't choose to think of things so terrible, but that you couldn't stop them. Anyone would do anything to stop it. So your brain tells you, I can make it stop. All you have to do is everything I say when I say it. The actions don't require much of you, but they're completely arbitrary. Run up and down the stairs. Tap something 100 times. Step into the row without looking. Sometimes they're less arbitrary. If you're worried you've left the hob on, perhaps you'll go back and check it. Again, and again, and again. Your brain will trick you into believing that you've left it on, and you'll think you're going insane, but it's less trouble to check than it is to have the house burned down. Or so you think, anyway. These small actions build up as you try to control every aspect of your brain and fears and life, to a point where you don't have much of one anymore. What your compulsions and obsessions demand of you starts to take over the parts of your life that you used to love, that you want to partake in. You feel at the centre of a very miserable universe, the sole saviour of everyone, and the only person who can prevent bad things from happening, so to speak. So you continue. You persevere until you can't anymore. Until you realise that you need some kind of intervention to save you from the one thing you can never escape. Your own brain. OCD is personal. It feeds on whatever you are most afraid of, on your guilt, fear, and sense of responsibility. It's born from a need to seek order in a world that doesn't have any, often developing in childhood, when we're at our most powerless, with 1 in 200 children suffering with it. Mine started manifesting when my parents were fighting and divorcing. I often